Welcome back to my channel. Today we want to talk about my most used palettes in 22, which, listen, that is kind of a fun part and I hope you like it. If you want to see which palettes I used the most in 2022, then keep on watching. Also, if you're new here, hi, my name is Nikki. I absolutely love colorful makeup. So if you want to see a little bit more color in your YouTube timeline, then subscribe to this channel. I upload 3 times a week. Listen, this was a really interesting year. In 2021 I made the first time ever a list of all of my palettes and tracked down if I liked them or if I didn't like them, and I wanted to use every palette at least once so I knew at the end of the year which ones I wanted to declutter or which ones I absolutely love, which ones I gravitated towards more. And I continued this in 2022. I had a list about all the existing palettes and then also about new palettes and how many times I used them. This year though, I was not doing it to, you know, use at least once every palette. I was like, okay, let's see how many times I use them naturally. And so this time, this list was really interesting because I do have to say I have a lot of palettes I used 5 times. I do have also a lot of palettes I didn't use, and I did declutter a lot of them. And so if you want to see how everything is going and which 5 palettes I used the most and how many times I used them, then, you know, stay tuned. Again, I used a lot of palettes 5 times and 7 times, funnily. So because I do have a lot of them, like the ABH Star Wars collection, the Uns Eis Sol Mone 2 palette, I used a lot of them, like, again, 5 times. So I didn't want to pick all of them because then we would sit here like the next 15 years, because again, I do have 89 palettes from last year. So I was picking palettes I used a little bit more, and the first palette I used 8 times. Yeah, this is so the magical like border I used 8 times, which is a lot compared, like, again, I almost have 90 palettes and I use this 8 times. That is the Hudson Valley palette from Nomad. Listen, I do love the palette. It is such a pretty palette. I used it again in fall and winter and I'm just obsessed with this one. 8 times. I think it's a great thing. Listen, yeah, I do love it. It is an amazing palette and I totally highly recommend the palette, especially for fall, but also if you want to have like a matte heavy palette. Again, this has 12 matte shades and then 3 shimmer shades. There is a warm side and then there's also a cool tone side, which you do have cool tone grayish and green colors, and then you do have warm tones from yellow to the deep red, as well as some browns, so that is nice. And then you do have 3 shimmer shades, a gold, a red and a green. I absolutely love the palette and I definitely know why I used it 8 times. The next 2 palettes I used 10 times. I have 2 that I used 10 times and both of them are more colorful, which is amazing. And one of them is the Anastasia and Uns Eye collaboration, and this is the Helena palette, which they released, I think this year if I'm not mistaken, or 2022. When you see this, it's 23. And this is the color story. I absolutely love it. It is a like green pink color. You do have a multi-chrome here. You do have this stunning shade, then a sparkly black. You do have a really deep color, which you can use with all of these shades. I do have to say I absolutely love it, and this Rebirth shade is a stunning inner corner highlighter for me, or like a matte highlight. Yeah, I do love this, so I definitely see myself using this 10 times. Listen, I am. And then the other palette which I used 10 times as well is my Blend Bunnies Search palette. I also bought this 2022. This is the palette, you do have like pastels, medium shades, deeper shades, shimmers, and then also neon shades. And then you do have like the colors, like this is all red, this is a mix a little bit, because you do have white, black, deep green, then a shimmer, and then a neon yellow. But the other ones like are like blue, green, purple, red, orangey, and then again a little bit of a mix. So I do like this palette a lot. I have to say that I like it a lot. I do love that these colors are more pastels. You do have medium shades, but as well as deep shades. The shimmers are really nice. They remind me a lot of the Beauty Bay formula, so like they're a little bit more putty. The neons are a little bit harder to work with, but they are not unworkable. I think especially if you have like a really sticky, and I mean it, like a glitter glue underneath the neons, then they do like perform as neons. If you don't do that, they are more of a pastel-y color, I would say. But yeah, totally see that I did like use this 10 times. And then the last two palettes, which you will be surprised. I'm telling you, you will be surprised. First of all, about the second place, and then the first place and how many times I used it. Listen, the second place is the Sigma New Mod palette. Listen, I tried Sigma Beauty, especially this palette, this year for the very first time, and it is a stunning movie like color scheme. You can go into a more neutral route, you can go into a more berry route. You do have this beautiful duochrome, which is like a pinky bluish silvery shade. It's gorgeous. I used this 11 times. I do like it a lot. It is great. I think this one is also really nice when you're traveling, because again, you can go into a more neutrally browed way, or even a berry route. I do like it. The quality is amazing. You do get a brush with it and a mirror, of course. And I do like that this also like has a more like beigey color. I know it's not everyone's favorite, but I do appreciate that. Yeah, I did like it so much, and again, I used it 11 times. And for the last palette, let's do a little jump, because the last Sigma palette I used 11 times, and the next palette I used 89 times. 89. And the reason for that is it was in my project pan, and I think now you can guess, maybe if you watch the project pan as well, and that is my Modern Renaissance palette. And listen, I will declutter this one after this year. I just used it because of the project pan. But yeah, this is how it looks at the moment. I finished the base shade, like the beigey nude shade, which is Tempera. I hit pan on Vermeer and Burnt Orange, and I did a great progress in this shade as well as the gold. I used it, I think, I used it every single month. I wanted to like use it up again. I didn't like completed that, but again, I used this one completely up. I will declutter this palette after this video. I am super excited that I did that again. I mean, I almost used it 90 times. And I just used it 89 times because I was sick in December. But other than this, I definitely would have like used it more. But yeah, it was not quite like one that I loved so much. That's why I used it. It was more of, okay, I want to use it up. But I mean, again, almost 90 times. I think I never like did that before, even the year before. If I will link the video where I talked about last year's palettes I used the most, and I think I was around 30 times maybe, or 15 times, I don't even know, but yeah, it's not like almost 90 times, just say. So yeah, these were all my palettes I used the most in 2022. Is there, like, listen, are you surprised? I am, to be honest. I totally forget, and that's why I have the list. I totally forgot about the times I used these, because I used so many, and I used them like quite interchangeable, so I was super surprised that I use these so often. But to be honest, I totally understand why I use them so often, and I'm not mad about it. And I hope you're are surprised as well. Please leave it down in the comments, and I wish you a beautiful week. We see us in my next video, which will be the Sunday's new makeup releases. And yeah, I wish you a beautiful week, and we see us in my next video. Bye guys.